Hey, what's up, everyone? I love my job. I love what I do. I love the impact that I have. And I think I need these letters at this time in my life more than probably these men needed my message at that time. So this is day 3, the 3rd letter. And then after this, I'm going to start reading student letters, but in a different video and podcast or vlog or whatever you want to call it. Dear Mr. Ethan, I would like to thank you for coming to prison again and speaking to us. I know it might have been hard, and I commend you for that. I have 26 more months left, and I don't ever want to even see another prison. You gave me a lot of hope. I have been a drug dealer all of my adult life. I dropped out of school in the 10th grade, and when you said you struggle with writing and you accomplished all these things you have done in life, it gives me hope. And I am changing my life right now. I don't want to be one of those people that comes back and has to live and have to stay in this be my life. I struggle with reading and writing myself, but I took the GED test and I passed it. I doubted myself for thinking that from not going to school for so long, I was not going to be nothing. I believe now. I believe now that if I go back to school and study, then I'll be able to learn things. And maybe I'll grow and become a more productive member of my community. When I get out, I look forward to looking into your life consequences. And I'm going to make a set of 5 keys. I know that 3 out of your 5 rules will be mine too. I'm going to have to work hard, stay positive, and most important, follow the rules. And I'm going to practice the 8 attitudes I've learned here in the program. They are gratitude, objectivity, caring, humility, open-mindedness, willingness, responsibility, and honesty. If I take these tools I learned in here, I know I will not be back in here, and I'll be able to live a better life on the outs because prison sucks. Thank you again for coming and sharing your life story. I don't even know where to start. There are so many awesome things in this letter. The first is hope. I've got hope tattooed on my leg. See, people don't understand, in my time in prison, I got those tattoos right before I went in. And hope was one of them, because every single day I would think about hope and getting out. It's what kept me alive. Heck, it's what got me going through the pandemic. It's what keeps me going every day of my speaking career is hope. Hope that I get another opportunity. Hope I get to do my job. Hope that there's a better life in front of me. Because trust me, there are days where I don't see any hope. But immediately, something jumps in and gives me that hope that I need. This guy has 26 more months, 2 years left before he gets out of prison. 2 more years. And I hope that I conveyed enough that in those 26 months that he had the ability to change his entire life and perspective while sitting in those cells. I know that's what I did. I sat in those cells, and yes, I was in boot camp. I got to fight fire, so my prison time was a little bit different than most people's. But when I was in that 23-hour isolation and lockdown, I sat down and I journaled, I wrote. I read 72 books or 73 books in the first 6 months of my incarceration because I had nothing else to do. But when you're stuck in that isolation and you're in these locked down, confined rooms, all you have to do is focus on yourself. This letter gives me hope. What's really cool is him saying that I know I'm going to make a set of my own 5 keys, because this is one of the first times I used my 5 key workshop as a part of my keynote. And so those 5 keys, it's in my book. You know, it's distributed on Simon and Schuster and all that type of stuff. That book, like, I don't think people realize what's in that book. It's not just my story, but there's a section in it about these 5 keys and what they mean and how they changed my life. Part of what I do as a keynote speaker is, yes, I tell my story. It's an emotional roller coaster, but at the end, I give anybody in those audiences to see what my 5 keys to what I call success are. And everybody's success is different. It might be having $1 million in the bank. It might be doing this. It might be starting this business or changing this person's life or starting an AAU program, whatever it is. Your success is going to be different than my success. And so for me, my success, my best success ever is 23 years. Not one single sip of alcohol. That's my best success. That offends some people because they don't understand that I know for a fact that if I drink one time, everything I've done and built for the last 23 years of my life is gone. And people can't. They can't accept that. And they ask me to drink or tell me to accept others drinking, and I just can't do that. So what do? I change friend groups. Yesterday's post, I talked about, you are the sum total of the 5 people you associate with. Why would I associate with people who drink if that is the biggest goal in my life, is not to drink? I could have drank during the pandemic. I would have had a legitimate excuse. The world shut down. You lost X amount of dollars. You went to bankruptcy because you couldn't speak. And then people didn't want to book me because my in-person events are so much different than online. But they didn't know that I was sitting here struggling because that's my paycheck. That's how I eat. And at not one point during the pandemic when my life was falling apart did I ever take a sip of alcohol. It came across my mind a couple times. I just said, hey, screw it, dude. Like, go ahead, drink. It's a pandemic. World shut down. You damn near went bankrupt. People would understand. Like, they'll give you a pass. But I knew that if I took that drink, everything I've built will crumble. Everything. Because that's the one thing I believe in. I know myself. I know what happens when I drink alcohol. I am a mean, angry person. And I can protect that anger and aggression when I'm sober. I can't when I'm drunk. I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I'm scary when I drink. I get violent. I'm mean. I'm 5'10". I got a Napoleon complex. I want to fight people that I don't even know just because I'm drunk. My divorce destroyed me. Destroyed me. All I did was think about death every day for like 1,400 days. Countless times. Dude, just take a drink. Drink your pain away. There's no problem. You move cities, you move states, nobody's talking to you. Go ahead, take a sip. Every day in my ear. Not one sip. Now, I think alcohol is the biggest gateway drug on the planet. It takes all your inhibitions away. So if I take one drink and I'm drunk, that whole backslide will happen. I'll be doing coke and ecstasy and the new drugs out that are all over the place. I'll be out in the bars and jumping and doing stupid stuff. And it all starts from taking one drink. So I know that as a person, as a man, that's the one thing I can't do. I just can't drink. I like to tell people I have a governor. You know, like in vehicles, they put a governor on so you can't go over a certain mile speeding. Well, I have a governor in my body. And if I drink, it removes that governor. So my mental health, the suicidal ideations and all the thoughts that I have about not being here every single day, that governor's gone. I won't have that protective engineering in my body to stop me from doing these things in my head that'll say, dude, just end it. Your life is over. But people around you don't realize, like, that's how you're built. Oh, just don't drink. It's not that big of a deal. They don't understand the catastrophic consequences that will follow. They can't foresee that future for you. And it's not their fault. They can't predict what's going to happen to you because of what's going on in your head and how you act on a daily basis. They don't know that one drink is a landslide to prison, to death, to everything in this world gone. I wish I could be like Jimmy Buffett. People don't understand. Tupac, Jimmy Buffett, Tom Petty, and Ozzy Osbourne were like 4 people that I wanted to be like. Pac, obviously, because of basketball and hip-hop, and then AI and J. Will. But why is Jimmy Buffett? Well, because he was a parrot head. He could drink all day, and he lived on a beach, and that's why I want to live on a beach, is because of a parrot head. And I wish I could have a couple drinks on the beach and watch the sunrise, sunset, and live that beach life, that paradise. That's my dream. But nobody knows about the Ozzy Osbourne side. See, I wanted to snort ants in my nose and do every drug imaginable out there. That's where my mentality was before the accident. So again, if I drink, those thoughts are going to creep back in, and who am I going to be? I love hip-hop and music. I know I can't do that industry because I'd be surrounded by people who drink and party, and if I give in one night going out to a club and I say, man, there's a couple pretty girls out there and I want to talk to them, so I'm going to have a couple drinks, might be okay that night. What happens a week later, 2 weeks later, and I get into a fight or an argument, I'm depressed, and say, man, just get a bottle, sit at home and have a couple drinks. Cool, maybe that one day I work. But what happens when I get to that point of excess that I do with everything? I drink a whole fifth. I black out. Wake up in another state. Not a state of consciousness, a different state. I've done that. Started partying at my crib in eastern Wyoming and woke up in Nebraska. Don't know how. Don't know who I was even talking to. So this letter right here is more important to me than probably my story to him that day. Because this just proves to me, like, I know who I am and I know what I can and cannot do. And I know that drinking to me is like, I just can't do it. But like, to get inmates to think about going back to school and learning and getting their, he already passed his GED, but like knowing that education can help them. So I'm sorry I didn't plan on a 15-minute little clip, but that's how I feel about alcohol, and you can tell all from this letter.